Hi, I'm Jake Simon, Director of Southwest Urban Forestry with American Forest. So through these videos, you've learned how to choose the proper trees and the right types of trees from the nursery. You've learned how to have your trees properly planted so they grow and thrive. And now we're going to talk about young tree care. Did you know the first 2 years in a tree's life are the most critical? And here in Maricopa County with our extreme heat, young trees need lots of extra special care to grow and thrive and become mature canopy that we know and love. All right, first thing we're going to talk about, so your tree has been expertly planted. Now we're going to talk about irrigation. Young trees really need proper irrigation to grow and thrive, and they need to have their root balls pretty consistently moist throughout the year. So in general, trees want deep and infrequent waterings. So watering just a little bit every other day, that's not what these trees want. They want deep, infrequent waterings. The water penetrates at least 18 to 24 inches down to get the root ball saturated and make sure those roots are chasing the water down to provide a nice, secure anchor. You're gonna wanna check and make sure that your irrigation emitters every week are working to make sure that they're putting water out. And you're also gonna wanna make sure that you're not getting any excess water on the trunk, because that can cause lots of problems with rot and decay. And especially during this tree's first couple of years of life, you're gonna wanna water it at least 2 times a week or so during the summer months, putting between 5 and 10 gallons of water down at a time. Once the weather cools off a little bit in the winter, then you can back that off to every 2 to 3 weeks or even every month to make sure that it's getting properly watered throughout the year. After your trees have been planted properly and got their first really good watering, you're gonna wanna apply mulch to them. Now these trees don't have mulch, but in general, you're gonna wanna put mulch at about 2 to 3 inches deep all the way to the edge of the canopy while keeping it 2 to 3 inches away from the trunk. You never wanna have any mulch up against the trunk of your tree. Again, that can cause problems with rotting and decay. The trunks of trees don't want extra moisture on there. But make sure your mulch is out far enough from the trunk, not too deep, but at least 2 to 3 inches. And that'll help cool the soil temperatures. It'll also help suppress weeds and keep more moisture there in your soil for your tree. These stakes help provide support for young trees for their first couple years of life. Not all trees need to be staked, but if they do need it, make sure you're using 2 stakes on either side. You're removing the nursery stake that came with the tree, and you're using loose but supportive ties at the bottom. Now this is to only give support for the first 1 to maybe 2 growing seasons, but after that, all of this needs to be removed so your tree is able to move and flow on its own. And lastly, with your new tree, monitoring is incredibly important. You want to always catch the first signs of any browning or leaf scorch right away, so that way you're able to adjust the watering or whatever else is going on with your tree. If you can't get the watering adjusted and help your tree get back to its full potential, time to call in a professional. On our next series of videos, we'll talk about when to call in a professional for your mature and any ailing trees that you have. And that's why all these things are so important for keeping these young trees alive so they can grow into the mature trees that provide shade and cool our neighborhoods, especially in areas like this of underserved communities in Mesa and throughout the country that have on average 26% less tree canopy cover and are 6 degrees hotter in minority and poverty areas, and 38% less tree canopy and 13 degrees hotter in minority areas. Some of the most important things you can do with your new tree as a homeowner is ensuring that it's planted correctly, it's not planted too deep, and its root flare is visible, that it's getting the proper amount of water, which means you need to look up and research the species and make sure that you're giving it the proper amount of water that it wants. And then ensuring that you're removing any stakes and ties after the first growing season to ensure they don't interrupt the tree's natural growing ability. Young trees grow into the shade providers and air conditioners of our future. Invest now and watch your trees thrive. If you're interested about learning more in any of the topics that you've learned about today, please join AZSA's next cohort of the Tree Stewards program.